Yo, what's going on, boys? Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to our irregular stream. Obviously, over these past couple days or these past couple weeks, the schedule has been a little bit all over the place, and I do apologize for that. I'm going to be, hashing things out and getting a more consistent schedule. At this point, the plan is still Mondays and Tuesdays every single week, but as the NBA playoffs are going on and as the Knicks are playing, it's kind of difficult for me to record certain videos or go live on certain days during Knicks playoff games. That's kind of why I changed the schedule for this week only. So this week we're doing Sunday and we're doing Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, on Tuesday at least. So I apologize for the weird schedule, but we're going to get back into things relatively soon. So without further ado, though, let's get into some of the news. So obviously yesterday, what played out was UFC Winnipeg. Full transparency, I didn't even really watch the card. I just watched the main event and the co-main event, so that's really all I can speak on. I'm not sure how good the rest of the card honestly was, but we'll talk about it a little bit without further ado. So in the main event, we had Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. The fight itself was okay at best. It definitely was a low output sort of fight. Now, with that being said, I did think that Mike Malott looked better than he has in the past. I've always criticized him in the past, saying that I didn't think he was very good. He was a very low output sort of fighter. If he lands his shots, okay, he's going to win. But if he can't land those big shots, it's going to turn out to be extremely boring performances where he'll have essentially a 50-50 shot of actually winning the fight. And if you look at this fight against Gilbert Burns, honestly, it was also still a pretty low output sort of a fight, but Mike Malott did a couple of things differently in this Gilbert Burns fight, which definitely made him have a better performance than normal. What he specifically did in this fight was he specifically feinted a lot more, pressure and feinted. And when he feinted, he essentially forced Gilbert Burns into that shell. And every time Gilbert Burns shelled up, that's really where Malott went to work, landing uppercuts, landing right hands around the guard. And that's how he was able to find the finish. So overall, good performance for Mike Malott. I don't know how much we actually learned about Malott in this fight. Definitely better, no question about it. But the reason for why I say I don't know how much we actually learned about him is just because Gilbert Burns is washed. I mean, I've been saying this for a while, and I didn't think he had a particularly good performance anyway in this fight either. So I don't know, good performance, but we didn't learn that much about him. I would like to see where Malott goes forward from here. Let me get into some of your boys' questions quickly. Yo, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Is Bo versus Boris your dream matchup? No, not at all, honestly. I heard that Bo Nickal or Khamzat Chimaev was calling out the other guy for their RAF performance as Khamzat Chimaev just signed with RAF. So I guess it would be cool if they put that matchup together. But in the UFC, at least, I really don't care about that fight at all. I don't think Bo Nickal is a very high-level fighter. I've been talking about this for a while, to be honest. Listen, he's 6-1 in the UFC or 5-1 in the UFC. Whatever he is coming off a pretty nice head kick knockout in his most recent performance. But I just don't see him at that level yet, or maybe even ever, to be completely honest. I don't even know if he's a ranked fighter sort of level at this point, just because, yes, he has a great wrestling background, but with that being said, I really haven't seen him dominate guys in the wrestling, at least in the UFC. And even on the feet, he just has not looked very good. So that's just my opinion on Bo Nickal. He's not someone who's super high level. If they go up against each other in RAF, okay, fine. I'll probably end up watching it. But in the UFC, it's never going to happen. Mike Malott will join his welterweight, deeper division. That's why I took him. Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think you're right. I never thought he was very good. And I don't think he's going to have a lot of success against other guys at the weight class. I mean, you said it, and I agree. I think the welterweight division is probably the best weight class in the UFC, especially the top 8, let's say, or the top 6, let's say, of the welterweight division. So, yeah, Mike Malott's probably going to be ranked after this performance. Maybe he'll be number 12, maybe number 11. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of difficult matchups for him outside of the Gilbert Burns matchup, whether you talk about Gabriel Bonfim, who, I still have questions on Bonfim, but I do think he's better than Mike Malott. Joaquin Buckley, also, I have some questions on him as well, but I also think he's better than Mike Malott. Leon Edwards would be a tough fight. Kamaru Usman, really tough fight. Sean Brady, really tough fight. Carlos Prates, Bilal Muhammad, Michael Morales, Ian Gary, JDM, Islam. I think essentially everybody ahead of everybody ahead of Mike Malott in the rankings is going to be a very difficult matchup for him. But we'll see. He's better than I thought, I guess, but I still don't think he's that good. Yo, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. What's going on, brother? I think he'll lose his rank spot to a better promising more talent, Mike Malott. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think I would agree. I don't really know if he's a ranked sort of fighter, especially at a deep weight class like the welterweight division. So I wouldn't be shocked at all. We'll see who the UFC gives him next, but I know they would prefer to have a somewhat of a star out of Canada. They don't really have it at this point. Charles Jourdain has looked pretty good, I would say, at 135, but I wouldn't say he's a star or anything like that. So maybe they're kind of trying to promote Mike Malott. I don't know how effective that's going to be, but maybe they'll give him some matchups that are good stylistically for him going forward from here and just try to essentially build him up as much as they possibly could. I think up until this point, they've done a good job at doing that. I really don't think he's very good, but his UFC record is pretty good, I would say. So we'll see, obviously, what they give him next. Johnny, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. I think we get Costa versus Ankalaev for the interim title in August or September. Definitely could happen. I was talking about this on previous live streams. I personally want to see Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev for the interim belt at 205 pounds. I think that fight actually makes a lot of sense. Now, if you did Costa versus Ankalaev, fine, you could do that. I'm not, adamantly opposed to that sort of a fight, but I just think in terms of putting the biggest fight together and also a fight that honestly does make a good amount of sense based upon the beef, based upon how Paulo Costa has looked as of late, why not put together a fight between Paulo Costa and Khamzat Chimaev? But we shall see. You might be right, by the way, though, but we'll see. Mike can beat your favorite Morales. I know you hate Morales, but listen, Mike Malott is not going to beat Michael Morales. It is what it is. But what are you gonna do? Never been high on Michael or on Malott. Farron, he did look sharp yesterday, but I don't think he would beat anyone in the top 10. Yeah, I agree with you. That's kind of where I'm at this point. I do think he looked impressive, but we also have to realize he fought Gilbert Burns, who was pretty washed. Obviously, he retired after that fight, which I was happy to see. I was happy to see finally somebody at the tail end of their career decided to retire before, they took a ridiculous amount of damage. But nonetheless, as I said before, we didn't really learn that much about Mike Malott just because of his opponent, but he did look good against Gilbert Burns. So I will give him that. The thing is, forcing moms, UFC keeping on backfiring. Don't lean on Patty Pimlet. Latest example. Listen, you're absolutely right. I completely agree with what you're saying, and it does backfire in them quite a bit. There's some guys that the UFC likes, and obviously they're trying to pick and choose their matchups. Patty Pimlet is a great example of that. I think they gave him the easiest matchup that they could have in the top 5, who was Justin Gaethje, and he still lost. And obviously that ended up backfiring, and now we have Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, a fight that's honestly not too close, to say the least. So it has been backfiring. I do agree with you. I'm not too big of a fan of the UFC constantly doing this sort of a thing, but they're going to continue to do it, obviously. I mean, they've done it countless times, and I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to do it going forward from here. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Brother, UFC just announced Sydney Sweeney versus Sabrina Carpenter. You got it how? I'll go with Sydney Sweeney via submission. Fuck it. Welcome to the stream, though, brother. Burns looked good in round 1, but actually in round 2 started. Not gonna lie, I feel bad for him. Yeah. I mean, listen, you would think the longer the fight plays out, the better it will get for Gilbert Burns, just because Mike Malott has shown really bad cardio in previous performances. But the fight was fought at such a slow pace. It was kind of a Mike Malott sort of a pace that he probably was not going to gas out there. He essentially was just pressuring effectively, waiting for his opportunities, essentially feinting a couple times. Every time he would feint, Gilbert Burns would essentially shell up. And from there, Mike Malott did a great job of just finding his shots, landing the uppercuts, landing the right hooks, and eventually finding eventually finding the finish. So yeah, I mean, I guess Gilbert had a couple moments. I also saw in the beginning of round 2, he looked relatively good, but outside of those few moments, somewhat moments that Gilbert had, it was more or less controlled and of course finished by Mike Malott. Burns in his prime was a monster. Yeah, he absolutely was. I think it's kind of weird to say, honestly, but a lot of fans don't really see that era of the welterweight division as that good. A lot of people think Kamaru Usman sucked, Colby Covington sucked, Jorge Masvidal sucked, Gilbert Burns sucked. I honestly don't agree at all. I think all of those guys that I just mentioned are actually incredibly underrated, and they were all incredibly good, especially Kamaru Usman. He's an all-time great at the welterweight division. But even Masvidal, I know he had a very short prime, but when he was in his prime, I thought he was really good. Really good takedown defense. His striking was good. He had good power. I just don't really understand that mindset that these guys sucked, Kamaru Usman obviously is the best example. Also, Colby Covington was great as well. But a lot of people think that. And yes, Gilbert Burns is another one of those examples of just a welterweight during that generation that was really, really good. Sydney wins rear naked Cleveland. Wouldn't be surprised. Gilbert Burns as UFC BJJ would bring more eyes to the credibility to the league. Yeah, it's true. That could be interesting if he decided to do that. I don't know if he really wants to do that. Obviously, he just retired. I'm sure he's going to want to stay retired, or maybe he won't. I don't know. If he has that itch to compete again, maybe he can go over there. But yeah, I don't know how many people are really watching UFC BJJ at this point. I personally haven't watched any of their events. But maybe it's cool. I don't really know. But yeah, it definitely would bring some credibility to that league for sure. No way people think Usman sucked. Dude, you'd be surprised. I get a lot of comments on these live streams and comments on videos in general. A lot of people think Kamaru Usman was not a good fighter, or they think he was overrated, or whatever they say. It's crazy to me. I mean, he's legitimately an all-time great fighter, and he's a guy who gave Khamzat Chimaev a lot of trouble on like 10 days notice or 8 days notice, whatever it was. So I don't personally get it at all. I think that entire generation of top guys, as I said, Burns, Khamzat, Colby, Usman, were all really good. But a lot of people don't agree with me on that one. I don't know. It's weird. Welterweight has been my favorite division. Yeah, welterweight has always been really good, to be honest. But especially at this point, it's really, really good. I think it's the best weight class in the UFC. That era was poor. Leon Edwards thrived on lightweight and welterweight competition, lower level strikers at that time. I don't know. I guess so. You're saying like the lower half, I guess. I don't know. But with that being said, Leon Edwards would not have beaten Kamaru Usman if it wasn't for that crazy head kick. I mean, he was kind of getting dominated, obviously, throughout the entirety of the fight. It did feel as if he kind of gave up on himself. Then he lands a miraculous head kick. I kind of struggled to say, certain kicks or certain finishes were lucky. But honestly, I feel like that one kind of was. I'm not even the biggest Kamaru Usman fan in the world, but that was just crazy just based upon how the fight was playing out. If Kamaru just stayed on the gas, that never happens. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Derek Lewis, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. All those guys just simply age out. Hegan Masvidal wasn't even his prime. I'd say his prime was more late 2000s. Yeah, I think that's fair, I guess. I mean, well, yeah, listen, you are definitely right. But I think for Jorge Masvidal, I just think the issue with him is his prime was incredibly short. I think it was only for like a 3 or 4 fight stretch that I would consider Jorge Masvidal to be in his prime. And then after that, he fell off pretty significantly, unfortunately for him. But when he was within his prime, I thought he was pretty good. He definitely gave issues to Kamaru Usman. And honestly, both of their fights, even in the fight that he got knocked out in, he did a pretty good job at stuffing takedowns, getting back to his feet. But he just really didn't respect the striking of Kamaru Usman, and he ended up getting knocked out for it. But other performances he's had were pretty good as well. Even Darren Till was a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, Darren Till is really, really fun to watch, win or loss. I mean, even at this point, I know he's doing BKFC at this point, I don't think he's had his first performance in BKFC, but I know he signed with them recently, so he's always fun to watch. He's just been one of those guys. Whenever there's a Darren Till fight, you got to watch. And also, I was kind of happy what he was doing in Misfits Boxing. He was kind of just fighting guys that were clearly worse than him, but he's making millions of dollars to do so. So I was kind of happy for him, but I guess at this point, he's not doing that anymore. He's going to BKFC. We'll see how that plays out for him. Tribal is better than landwear. Lightweight due to 6'2" pure. True. Usman could be the top 15 fighter of all time, at least. I think that's fair, honestly. I would have to think about it a little bit more, I guess, just to think about who would actually be on that list and what number he would be. But I think that's fair to say, honestly. Usman ain't a fraud. Leon is, maybe. Yeah, I mean, listen, how I saw Leon Edwards, I've been talking about this forever. I think Leon Edwards is incredibly talented. His striking's really good. His wrestling, honestly, is pretty good as well. Good jiu-jitsu, good takedown defense. Offensively, could grapple a little bit as well, and super, super technical. So he's really skilled and really talented. I think the biggest issue with Leon Edwards is his will and his heart. There's been multiple times where Leon Edwards loses a first round or loses a couple of minutes of a fight, and it completely gives up on himself. And I think that really has held him back in a lot of his performances. If you look back at his fight against Sean Brady, he lost that first round. He got controlled on the ground. But after that first round, he was completely distraught. He completely, more or less, gave up on that fight, it seemed. And obviously, in round 2, I believe is when he got finished, or round 3, whenever it was, he made that terrible decision to shoot in for a takedown, and he ended up getting submitted. I think his mind and his heart really holds him back pretty significantly. But skill-wise, I think he's really good. It's just kind of unfortunate, I guess. Owen, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Yes, sir, I am back. A little bit of a different schedule this week. Unfortunately, not going to stream tomorrow, but we'll be streaming on Tuesday. We're going to try to keep Monday, Tuesday streams going, but just decided to hop on a stream today because I know I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. It's not a win. Burns won by decision 2 different ways. True. Also, I'm picking Strickland by decision, bro. I rewatched GDP versus Khamzat. I don't mind didn't more in advance ever. Yeah, that's kind of it's exactly what I was saying. Listen, Khamzat Chimaev has great takedowns that you can't really take that away from him. And I think Khamzat takes probably everybody down in the first round. If he took Kamaru Usman down, he probably takes everybody down in the first round. But the question is, could he finish in that first round or first couple rounds against Strickland? If he cannot, I think Strickland's in a great spot. And yes, as you said, and I completely agree, Dricus has probably the worst takedown defense maybe ever. At least in that particular fight, he looked awful. He was constantly off balance. He was getting taken down super easily, and it was just not a great performance, to say the least. So yes, Khamzat Chimaev is really good at finding takedowns. He'll take down anybody, including Strickland, but also on top of that, Dricus had horrible takedown defense and put up little to no resistance whatsoever. So I don't know. I don't think because of that I'm going to pick Strickland. I still think you have to favor Khamzat Chimaev in that fight. But with that being said, I see a path to victory for Sean Strickland. Get taken down early. Yes, it's going to happen, but survive and force Khamzat to work. And once you get to rounds 3, 4, and 5, that's really where you can start to pull away if you are Sean Strickland. Now, I don't think that's really going to happen, but there's at least that path to victory for him. I don't think Leon is bad, and we get but in welterweight, smaller welterweight. I guess that's fair as well. I mean, listen, he's also not physical, and I talk about this a lot in live streams as well. But physicality is incredibly important, just because you can be losing the entirety of a certain fight, land one big shot, and find the finish. Leon Edwards was never one of those guys, and maybe a part of the reason for why that was is because he was a little bit small, maybe. But listen, there definitely were some issues with Leon's game, but I think technically he's one of the more technical fighters at the weight class, honestly. It's just his mind and maybe his physicality let him down, more or less. I actually think Leon's on bigger size for welterweight. Yeah, I think he's kind of like, I think he's fine. I don't think he's super small. I don't think he's that big either, to be honest. I think he's fine. There's other guys that definitely could outmuscle him, like Kamaru Usman was doing in their fight, but also Kamaru Usman's huge. Or at least very muscular. I don't know if he's necessarily huge for the weight class, but he's very muscular. Yo, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Leon versus Rodriguez allegedly booked. I did see that. Honestly, very weird matchmaking. I could have sworn after Leon Edwards lost a few fights, they would have given like a young up and coming prospect to Leon Edwards. But the fact that it's rumored to be D-Rod versus him honestly makes no sense. I mean, I don't really think D-Rod has much of a future in the top, let's say top 8 of the welterweight division. And I don't think he beats Leon Edwards, even this version of Leon Edwards. So I don't know. Doesn't really make much sense to me at all, but UFC is going to do whatever they want, I guess. Masvidal actually called out Leon, was a no-brainer booking. Yeah, I actually kind of agree. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight get put together. A lot of times I don't really care about those fights with guys who retired coming back to the UFC and fighting, like, for example, Jorge Masvidal going up against whoever. I mean, in this case, I do like it, but in other matchups, I don't like it. And also Nate Diaz coming back and fighting Conor. Honestly, I don't have that much interest in those sort of fights, to be honest. But specifically for Leon and Masvidal, based upon where both of them are at in their respective careers, I do think it makes sense, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they are looking to book Leon versus D-Rod for some reason. Charles and Edwards, I don't see much of a difference. I don't know their weight and dimensions. Burns versus Morales, Burns. In terms of size. Yeah, I guess. I mean, listen, Charles is huge for 155, but I guess you're probably right. But some of those other guys you mentioned are ginormous. Morales is humongous for the weight class, which gives him a big advantage for sure. Strickland is going to get taken down easily. Strickland has a bad sprawl, but Strickland getting I'm letting around. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's kind of what I've been talking about for a while with Strickland, and I agree with you, Owen. Like, yeah, he's gonna get taken down. Strickland has honestly historically never had great takedown defense. He gets taken down relatively easily. Now, I thought he made somewhat of an improvement on that in his fight against Fluffy Hernandez, but also Fluffy Hernandez is not even close to the level of grappler that Khamzat Chimaev is. But nonetheless, Strickland gets taken down, but the great thing about him is he immediately starts moving and getting back to his feet as soon as he gets taken down. Now, it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that against a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, who not only has great takedowns, but also has great control and also has a great ability to threaten submissions. So Strickland definitely is going to need to be wary of all of those things. But with that being said, that is something good to have going into a fight against Khamzat. As I said before, if you can force Khamzat to work and survive, most importantly early, that's really where you can have a lot of success going late against this guy. But we'll see. I'd say 70-30 Khamzat. I think I probably would agree with that, to be honest. I think that's fair. And not saying that Sean Strickland has literally no chance of winning the fight. I don't think that's the case, but I think 70-30 is fair. Patty versus BSD might be booked. Patty round 1 KO. I don't think so. I agree. I think the fight's going to happen, but I don't think Patty round 1 KO. I think BSD wins that fight personally, but I do agree with you. I do think that fight is going to be booked. I did see that thing that BSD posted on his Instagram or Twitter, whatever it was, and it seems like he's going to be fighting Patty Pimblett. So we'll see. I don't hate the matchmaking. I really don't. I personally would have preferred different matchmaking, like Patty Pimblett versus Dan Hooker. I think honestly made more sense. And then you can do BSD versus Max Holloway or something like that, or even BSD versus Arman Tsarukyan. But I don't hate the matchmaking. BSD versus Patty, they're right next to each other in the rankings, and a win over either one of those guys would be big for both of them. Where are we at here? Is Brady's offensive wrestling overrated? Yes, I do think so. I think when he gets on top, he's elite. Absolutely elite. He does a great job at landing great ground and pound shots, and most importantly, finding submissions. He's very dangerous on top. But I do think he is a bit overrated in terms of his offensive wrestling. He doesn't get it in all of his performances, and he doesn't get it that easily in a lot of his performances, even when he does get the takedowns. So I do think so. I agree with you. Khamzat is a winter. He is. He definitely is. He's very difficult to get off of you. And as I said before, I know Strickland has done a great job traditionally of getting right back to his feet after getting taken down. But Khamzat is a completely different animal. It's going to be very difficult to do that against him. Now, could he do it? Maybe, especially in the later rounds. But early, it's going to be nearly impossible for him to do it. So early, if I'm Sean Strickland, I try to stuff takedowns as best as I could. But most importantly, just stay safe, survive. And once you get to those later rounds, the fight should get easier and easier as it progresses. Also, I do want to make a quick mention. If you guys are enjoying the live streams and want to support your boy, be sure to hit that join button down below. You'll get access to my best bets for each and every card. You'll get access to members-only live streams each and every Friday. You'll get members-only shout-outs in each one of my videos. You'll get discounted merch, which you see in the back as well as I'm wearing here, alongside with additional perks as well. So if you want to support your boy, hit that join button down below. I look at strong on defense, kind of like in guns you mentioned before, but has a certain level of wrestling in order to take him down. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. He's good. Strickland's wrestling, I would say, is relatively underrated, to be honest. I know he essentially never offensively wrestles, but he does have a bit of a wrestling background. And, there are some things he could do against wrestlers. We saw it in his fight against Fluffy Hernandez, where more or less he was able to stuff all of the takedowns, I believe, or maybe Fluffy found one in that performance. I'm not too sure. But more or less, he looked really, really good. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it. We'll see what happens going forward from there. By the way, I thought Brady lands again, but I look at betting sites and I can't see it. No, so they moved that fight. It's not going to be Brady versus who was it supposed to be? Brady versus Buckley. That fight was moved to UFC 327. This weekend's main event, or next weekend's main event, is Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. They moved the fights around. Yo, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Ilya's versing Justin Gaethje next. But after that, who would he fight? I think it probably is going to be Islam Makhachev, if I had to guess, assuming that Ilya does knock out Justin Gaethje, which he probably will, if we're being honest. So that's what I would say. Are there other potential matchups like the Arman fight? I guess that has been a fight that I personally have been really wanting to see, but I think the most likely outcome would probably be Ilya versus Islam, assuming both of those guys win their next fights. Gamrot beats Patty 30-27 decision. He's really, really good in terms of his wrestling. The only issue with Gamrot, though, I will say, is the fact that he's just very not physical. So I wouldn't be surprised, and also he's not the biggest guy to say the least for 155. So I wouldn't be surprised if Paddy Pimblett was able to land a big shot. I mean, he's not really a good striker at all, for being honest, but he does hit relatively hard, I would say. So I wouldn't be surprised if he landed a big shot and hurt Gamrot or something like that. But it's not impossible. Gamrot is really, really good, and I thought he put on the best performance, one of the best performances of his career in his last fight. Some people acting like Chimaev is going to run through Sean Strickland. When has Chimaev struggled with decent wrestlers historically? I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if he ran through Strickland. I really wouldn't be. I'm not predicting it to happen. Well, actually, I guess I kind of am. I guess I kind of am predicting it to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. I'll put it like that. I mean, who has really Khamzat struggled with in the past? Kamaru Usman, who has legitimately lights out takedown defense, way better than Sean Strickland. It's not even close, actually. As well as, who am I forgetting? Who else has he really struggled with? Maybe I'm forgetting somebody obvious. But that's really the only guy that I can remember. Arman would do nasty things to BSD. Yeah, I mean, you probably would have to favor Arman against BSD, but it's an interesting fight. But yeah, I do agree with you. You have to favor Arman for sure. His wrestling is just next level. He's super fast on the feet. He's pretty dangerous as well. I wouldn't say that he necessarily has great striking, but he's very powerful on the feet for sure. They will definitely do BSD versus arrangement, 100%. Yeah, I do think it makes sense from that perspective. Maybe it's going to be in France or something like that, or maybe even in the UK. I don't know. We'll see where it ends up being. Well, actually, they just did a card in the UK, so I guess it's not going to be in London, but probably they'll put together that for the main event of the France card whenever that ends up happening. Brady took down Leon easier than Usman, though. I don't think that's true at all. Usman took down Leon like literally 100 times the first and second fight. So I don't think that's really true at all. I mean, not saying it was that difficult for Brady to take Leon down. Early, maybe a little bit, but once he found the takedowns, it was pretty easy for him. But I don't know if you could really say that. I mean, look at the stats. Usman took him down literally 100 times between the first and second fight. Same with Spivak versus Gane, but when Gane the technique, he got ragdolled. Strickland versus Usman got taken down. Yeah, true. You're right. You're not wrong. We'll see how it plays out though. BSD finished Patty in under over 5. Well, finishes Patty in under over 5 minutes. You're saying? I would probably say over if you're saying 5 minutes, 5 rounds. I'd say under. Mason Jones wipes the floor with Patty in a decision brawl. Mason Jones is super, super fun, man. I will say, I would like to see that guy fight more and more frequently. I know we really only see him once a year. He's super, super fun to watch. Pico low-key beats Avloya. People aren't ready for that combo. So this is what I'll say. I kind of see where you're coming from because the issue with Aaron Pico has always been his chin, and obviously Avloya just doesn't hit that hard. So if that isn't that big of an issue, you would assume a guy who's as talented as Pico in terms of his striking, in terms of his wrestling as well, would have a lot of success against Avloyev. And I wouldn't be totally shocked if he won. I've been saying this for a while. I thought Pico was good even after he got knocked out by not Leon Edwards, by whatever his face is. Now I'm blanking on his name. Lerone Murphy. But I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily be that confident he beats Avloyev. I did think Avloyev looked really good and impressed me actually quite a bit in his fight versus Lerone Murphy. I know a lot of people thought Lerone won the fight, especially with the point deduction, or it should have been a draw. I actually thought it should have been a draw. But with that being said, I thought his performance was honestly pretty impressive. Talking about Avloyev, but we'll see. I wouldn't be totally shocked, to be honest. Pico would lose 1 round, but after that, Pico would put on a masterclass. I don't know if I would go as far to say that, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Avloyev won that fight. He struggled with Burns. Okay, that was the other one. Yeah. But he also kind of just decided to not grapple at all against Burns, so it's a little bit different. But that is fair. And also, but Burns is also more of a jiu-jitsu guy as opposed to a wrestler. But it's fair, I guess. PB, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Khamzat will be fighting any nickname soon. Anytime soon. After struggling on feet. Well, actually, I think if Strickland smokes him on the feet, it'll be more likely that he'll fight Nickal soon. But I don't think we ever see that fight realistically. I just don't think Bo Nickal's on that level. I don't think he's going to be even in the rankings, to be completely honest. Or, I mean, maybe he will, but I don't think he gets above number, let's say, 12. I just don't think he's that good of a fighter. I've been saying that for a while. I know a lot of people disagree with me. They say, oh, he's 6-1 in the UFC. He has to be good. But if you look at the level of competition that he's been fighting, it's been super low-level competition. And also in those fights themselves, he just has not really looked good. In my opinion, maybe you disagree, but in my opinion, I've never seen a Bo Nickal performance and said, wow, this guy's really good. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think we ever see that fight either way. Also, the MMA is stupid. Whitaker was doing well early against Chimaev. Oh, that's true. That's another one. That's true, actually. Whitaker was doing pretty well with the takedown defense. When I draw suddenly, Whitaker had 0 success. Strickland could crown him. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't disagree. Whitaker was having success, but you can't really make that comparison to the Strickland fight. They're completely different fighters. Whitaker has all-time great takedown defense. Kamaru Usman has all-time great takedown defense. Sean Strickland is just not that. He actually does not have great takedown defense at all. He does a great job at getting back to his feet. So not saying he can't have any level of success. That's not really what I'm saying. I know you're not saying I'm saying that, but I'm just reiterating. But I think the comparison between Whitaker or Kamaru Usman is just invalid. They just fight completely differently. And as I said, both of those guys honestly have generational takedown defense. Khamzat might be the modern day GSP, but then everyone's thing will get caught if he stays a middleweight. I see 4-6 quality defenses for him. Yeah, I don't disagree. I honestly don't. I think at the current weight class, he probably beats everybody. Listen, does Sean Strickland have a path to victory? Yes, I know I've said it multiple times, but I still would have to favor Khamzat. But if he does beat Strickland, I don't think anybody beats this guy at middleweight. I think he beats Nasser Damamavov relatively easily. I think he beats Brendan Allen relatively easily. Kai Bahaya relatively easily. Joe Pyfer, I think very easily. Fluffy Hernandez is interesting just because of the cardio of Fluffy, but still, I think you would have to favor Khamzat Chimaev. I think he beats a lot of guys at the weight class, to be honest. But with that being said, I don't think he has much interest in actually staying at the weight class. I think he wants to move up to light heavyweight and fight up against Paulo Costa for the interim belt or fight for the undisputed belt against Carlos Ulberg, depending on how long it takes Ulberg to come back from that injury, which is probably going to be a year. But it's not as if Khamzat Chimaev is active anyway, so he may not care to sit out a while. So we'll see. I just don't think he's really has much interest in defending the belt that much. I think after he beats Strickland, if he does, he's going to move up. Leon Murphy. It's kind of funny how similarly they fight. It's hilarious, but yeah. Lerone Edwards. Evloev looked ass against Murphy. I don't think that's true at all, actually. I actually completely disagree. I thought he looked very good. He essentially only struck against Lerone Murphy, and I thought he had a good amount of success. The couple times that he did look to wrestle, he found takedowns super easily. And if you guys remember my breakdown video going into that fight, I said, Lerone Murphy's takedown defense is not very good. I thought Movsar Evloev would be able to take him down relatively easily. He didn't look to grapple that much, but when he did, it was super easy for him. So I know that the decision was kind of weird. I personally thought it was a draw. But with that being said, I thought he looked pretty impressive based upon how he chose to fight and still had success. He only had success after the injury. I don't think that's true either. He had more success after the injury, but I still think he had success early as well. He looked world-class against Rodolfo Vieira, though. I don't know. I mean, listen, Bo looked good early. I would say like the first 30 or 40 seconds, I thought he looked pretty good, so I'll agree with you on that. But ever since those first 30 or 40 seconds, I don't think he looked very good. And the head kick was nice, I guess, but it was kind of a naked head kick that landed flush. Not something you see too commonly against higher level opponents. And also it's Rodolfo Vieira. But listen, I don't know. I could be wrong. I know a lot of people disagree with me on my Bo Nickal take, but I just don't really see anything in this guy. I just personally don't. When Bo Nickal kicked Rodolfo Vieira, that was the best day of my life. It didn't matter if the main and co-main of his song due to the finish, due to that specific finish. I thought that card was great due to the finishes of Micah Morales as well as Carlos Prates. That was super fun, and BSD actually. All three of my favorite fighters getting finishes back to back to back. That was super, super fun to watch. The main and co-main did suck, as you said. But yeah, I personally like the card because of those two. But it was a cool finish from Bo. Can't take that away from him. No matter what happens at 228, Chimaev should Loki move up. Light heavyweight is bad right now and runs through it. Yeah, I agree. Light heavyweight's in a really bad spot at this point. As I touched upon before, everybody, legitimately everybody in the top 6 of the weight class is coming off a knockout loss, outside of, I guess, Jan Blachowicz. But Magomed Ankalaev is coming off a knockout loss. Yuri Prohaska is coming off a knockout loss. Khalil Roundtree is coming off a knockout loss. Jamal Hill is coming off a knockout loss. Mirzakhanov, I know he's not number 8, but he's coming off a knockout loss as well. So it's a great opportunity for Khamzat Chimaev to go in there and just steal the belt, more or less. I do think he probably runs through Carlos Ulberg, if we're being honest, whenever he does return. But even if he has to fight for the interim belt against Paulo Costa, he probably has a lot of success against Paulo as well. But I would like to see that fight, though. Paulo is looking career best. So I would still like to see that fight, but you would have to favor Khamzat. Where are we at here, boys? Imavov was the last guy I'm going to think to. Striking fights. Yeah. That's fair. I mean, listen, I've never been super, super high on Imavov, if I'm going to be completely honest. I always thought there was a bit of a hole to his game, and that hole is just pressure him and constantly put out volume. That's exactly what Sean Strickland was able to do, and he had a lot of success against Imavov. But in general, listen, Imavov is really good. If you give this guy space, he's going to be able to piece up more or less anybody at middleweight. He's very, very fast. His striking's really good. It's just there is that deficiency to his game. Pace and constant output does give him some trouble, but he's really good outside of that. Volk 50-45 of Loyev, Murphy on the same night. I do think, I don't know if I would say that, but I do think Volk would probably beat both those guys. I mean, I've said this a lot. I'll say it again. I think Volkanovski is probably the most skilled guy in the UFC. Maybe you can say Piotr Jan, but Volk is right up there, probably number 1, if we're being honest. And when he's going up against guys who are not much of a threat against him in terms of being super physical and being able to one-shot him, I think those are the type of fights where you really feel confident in Volkanovski, even at this stage of his career. I know he's getting a little bit older, but a guy like Evloev as well as Murphy just don't have that one-punch knockout power. And because of that, I feel pretty confident in Volk being able to beat both those guys. Movsar isn't bad at kicks. Yeah, he's got some pretty good kicks, I would say. That's true. John, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Armin tagging Lefebvre in the crowd was crazy. I didn't even see that, actually. I completely forgot about the RAF thing. So I didn't see it. I did see that Khamzat Chimaev did sign with RAF, so that's pretty cool, I guess, going forward. But how was that performance? Was it a sweep, I'm assuming, for Armin, or was it close? Probably wasn't, but how was it? And also, how's the rest of the card for UFC Winnipeg? I didn't even watch the card. It was just so bad. I was kind of watching playoff basketball anyway. But I did watch the main and co-main, but outside of that, I didn't watch the card. Was it any good? Anybody that did watch that card? I didn't get a single bet right last night. Yeah, those are the worst. I mean, listen, it happens to everybody. It really does, but those are really the worst. It sucked that I have to wait over a month for Dawkins versus Nickal still. Yeah. I kind of agree with you, John. I am kind of intrigued by that fight as well. A lot of people think Bo Nickal is going to wipe the floor with Dawkins, which, maybe you do have to favor him, but it's an interesting fight. Kyle Dawkins has been looking really good as of late. His striking is undoubtedly better than Bo Nickal, but the question is, can he keep the fight on the feet, which is a big question. If he can't, he's going to lose, but we'll see. It is an intriguing fight, I will say. Just look at Bo versus RDR as soon as he's met somebody that has a high level. Yeah, exactly. Listen, you're absolutely right, Derek Lewis. I'm going to throw you up on screen because I agree with it so much, but it's true. The one time he went up against a high level fighter, he got absolutely fucked. I mean, there was really no level of success that Bo Nickal had in that fight versus RDR. He just got crumbled and more or less gave up, in my opinion. But yeah, outside of that, he's won every other one of his performances. But if we really go through his career, like, he's not fought high level guys. Let's go through it actually. Let's see. So Bo Nickal, I'll throw it up on screen as well. Probably going to be a black screen. Of course it is. I have to keep doing this. Hold on, boys. Let's check out Bo Nickal's resume in the UFC. All right, here we go. So he's fought, if I can full screen this. All right, here we go. So he started here. So he fought Jamie Pickett, via submission, who's not very good to say the least. Then he knocked out Val Woodburn in the first round, who was not very good to say the least. Got cut after fighting Bo Nickal, I believe, or maybe fought once more, but is not in the UFC anymore. Then he got a submission victory over Cody Brundage, of all guys, who has a 10-8 record or something like that. He's not a good fighter either. Then he has a decision victory versus Paul Craig, a fight that was exclusively on the feet, and Paul Craig is known to be one of the worst strikers in the UFC, and Bo Nickal wasn't able to have success against him. He more or less stared at Paul Craig. My opinion, really bad performance. Then the one time he went up against a high-level fighter who wasn't even seen to be a high-level fighter at the time in RDR, absolutely annihilated Bo Nickal. And then his last fight was against Rodolfo Vieira, who he did knock out in the third round via head kick. But before that, it wasn't a super impressive performance. And also, it's Rodolfo Vieira. So I would make the argument that his Vieira fight is probably the best performance of his career. But even then, I wouldn't say it's a great sort of performance. And I think this kind of tells you everything you need to know about Bo Nickal. Look how many times he's fought in the UFC, and look at the level of competition that he's gone up against. Look at any other sort of prospect. If you're like 6 or 7 fights in to your UFC career, you're probably going to, at the very least, go up against ranked competition. And Bo Nickal has never went up against ranked competition. But nonetheless, for some other guys, a lot of other guys that are very high-level prospects, they fight for the title 6 or 7 fights into their career. Bo Nickal's not even fighting ranked guys. So I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know. So I don't know. Maybe people disagree, but that's kind of why I think Bo Nickal sucks. Where are we at here? I'm really behind on chat, boys. I apologize. Hoykett Lewis is going to be so good. Hoykett looking. Yeah, I think so. Listen, Hoykett should win against Lewis. I don't think it really should be close. But Derek Lewis hit so hard, and I know Hoykett got hit quite a bit in his last fight versus Curtis Blades. So there's always that worry, I guess. But with that being said, I do think that Hoykett is probably going to shoot him for a takedown, find it, and probably find a finish on the ground. Maybe first round, maybe second round, but he probably will win and definitely should win. You should make a tabology group. Sure. I honestly don't even know. What does that even mean? I know tabology, they have stats and whatnot, but I don't actually even know what that means. But enlighten me, Owen. I did very well in my predictions last night. Work because I was used 6, 1, 5, 12. Let's go, brother. I appreciate that. Congrats. Tom was the most skilled. He can strike and wrestle at heavyweight. I think I probably would agree. Yeah, I think that's fair. Winnipeg card had a lot of finishes, but was terrible in name value. Yeah, that's true. The event name between Strickland is 5 wrong weight class. Last minute call up has been stylistic by grappler. Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Arman shot a takedown and Faber all the way into the mat or the tables. Not super shocked, honestly. Hoykett hitting Costa with the pizzas these months. Yeah, I mean, listen, Hockett's turning into a big star. After having a performance like that, you're always going to turn into a big star. But I think he's actually pretty funny. I know he's cringy. There's definitely times where he is cringy, but it's a part of his brand, and I think he's overall, honestly, kind of funny. Controversial opinion. Winer's card is actually really good and hype for it. Yeah, I do agree. The White House card is pretty good. I think if the expectations weren't incredibly high, a lot of people would agree with you. I personally still agree with you at this point. I think the White House card is really good. It's just the level of expectations that they set. It's very hard to meet those. If it was Topuria versus Islam, then okay, they would meet those expectations. And apparently that's the fight that they wanted, but Islam had to, pussy out, if we're being honest. But because that fight isn't happening, the expectations or, the public opinion is a lot lower of this card, but I still think it's really good. Ilya versus Justin Gaethje is not really a close fight, but it should be fun. Alex versus Rilgon's a really good fight, in my opinion. Sean O'Malley versus Sahabi will be fun. I don't think it's really that close of a fight, but it should be fun. Hoofy versus Michael Chandler, also not really a close fight, but should be fun. Bo Nickal versus Kyle Dawkins, in my opinion, somewhat intriguing, actually. Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Honestly, in my opinion, probably the second best fight in the card. Best fight in the card is Gane versus Alex. Second best fight is Diego versus Steve Garcia. That one should be really good. And then Josh Hockett versus Derek Lewis. Also, I don't think it should be that close, but it's probably going to be fun. So there's a lot of really fun fights on the card, to say the least. And you do also have your 2 title fights at the top of it as well, and really good name value. Ilya Topuria, Alex Pereira, Sean O'Malley. There definitely is good name value in the card. Diego Lopez. Bo choose to Dawkins fight himself. I wouldn't be totally shocked, to be honest, if they gave him that ability. Someone needs to upload the footage of Hokage. That was honestly hilarious. Very, very funny. He's in the back and he's like, that was very funny. He actually is like very funny, I must say. Juicy Michael Jewelry again, big money jewelry. Wait, jewelry ads. I don't even have ads on. There's ads on this live stream. I don't even have it on, so it's not me. It's YouTube. I actually thought Bo looked really good against Vera. I don't think Vera is like complete trash. No, I don't think he's complete trash, but I don't think he's very good. With that being said, and also on top of that, he's pretty old. So you know, as I said before, I do think it's the best win of Bo Nickal's career. But even with that being said, like if the best win of your career is against Vieta, it's not really that great. But you know, especially 7 fights in. But yeah, I mean, he's not complete trash. So I'll agree with you on that point. Even the RDR fight, I chose a chance. I want to prove a point. People like Sean, Bo, Patty, and short list, and they pick. Yeah, that's true. I do agree with you on that. It's like a group on Tapology where there's leaderboards, every card to see when you got the best predictions. Oh, that's actually a good idea, Owen. Yeah, I probably would do that, honestly. Why not? Why not? That could be a good idea. I'm not going to set it up right now because I don't even know how to do it. I don't know how long it takes, but I'll probably set it up after the stream. I'll probably throw it up, tell you guys about it on streams in the future, and we can go head to head, I guess. That'd be pretty cool. There was ads on Tapology. Oh, okay. The hobby style frustrates me. He gets touched too much, but I'm kind of like, putting money on him because I believe he's an strategic plan. I don't I don't totally disagree with you. I don't think Zahabi's good. I'm gonna be honest. Or no, listen. I think Zahabi is okay. I think he's good enough to be in the rankings. I think he's good enough to be in the top 10, probably top 12, probably. But with that being said, I don't think he's good enough to be in the top 6. And I thought his last 2 fights he lost. I thought he lost against Chito Vera, and I also definitely thought he lost against Jose Aldo. But listen, he's somewhat good, I would say. He definitely fights close in essentially all of his performances. I don't completely disagree that he's an industry plant, to be honest. So maybe he'll have a close performance against Sean Strickland, against Sean O'Malley as well. But I do think this is one of those performances that are kind of set for Sean O'Malley to style on Zahabi. Zahabi's not really athletic. He's not really physical. But he has good fight IQ, and he kind of makes the fights close, as I said before. So we'll see. But I think Sean should win the fight. Hear me out. Kevin Holland moves up to 205 at short notice and fights Guskov. Kevin would break record for the quickest 30 fights in history. That'd be kind of crazy to move up to 205. I mean, I would be shocked if he wanted to do something like that, but it definitely would be crazy. In my opinion, what I would prefer for Kevin Holland is just to stay at 170. You're clearly the best at that weight class. Stay at 170. Try to just focus a little bit more, try to put some wins together, and maybe have some sort of success. I've said this for quite a while. I always thought Kevin Holland had a lot of talent. He has a really good chin. He has really good power. His frame for 170 is great. He has good ability to utilize jiu-jitsu and utilize submissions. He could strike a little bit. He's definitely a bit unorthodox, but he could strike a little bit, I would say. So I always thought there was a lot of promise to Kevin Holland if he just took his career more seriously, but unfortunately he never has. So I wouldn't be surprised if he really wanted to move up to 205 at short notice and accomplish that, but it doesn't really make much sense. I mean, he had a lot of trouble with guys at 185 because he just wasn't strong enough to stuff takedowns. I know Guskov's not really a wrestler, but at 205, I wouldn't be shocked if he was able to find takedowns against Kevin Holland. I wouldn't advise that if I was in Kevin Holland's corner. Top 10 in this area is underrated. The division, the bantamweight are actually sleeping in. The division is maybe Mario's performance a bit. Figures top 5 is crazy. Yeah, I mean, listen, I for a while, honestly, I thought Figgy, and even still at this point, like I think he's good, honestly. But at this point, I just think he's a little bit older, honestly. Juicy, what are the chances Volk 50-45s of Evloev and decision and decides not to retire? I'm scared for the Jean Silva fight. You're saying if he does 50-45 of Evloev, will he not retire? I think there's a chance he doesn't retire. Yeah, if he puts on that good of a performance against a high-level fighter like Evloev, I think there's a good chance he decides to continue on. I agree with you. I would like to see him retire after a performance like that, or even if he just squeaks out a victory over Evloev, or even if it's 4-1 or 3-2, whatever it is. If he wins the fight against Evloev, or even if he loses the fight against Evloev, I don't think he would, but theoretically, if he loses that fight, I would like to see him retire. I don't want to see Volkanovski be one of those guys that just sticks around way too long. I know it's kind of crazy to say it for Volkanovski because he's currently the champion, and I know it's a bit odd, but with that being said, like I just don't want to see him be one of those guys that just stick around too long, get knocked out by Jean Silva or get knocked out by, somebody else that is making their come up and just continue to fight on because he doesn't want to end his career on a loss and just get knocked out a bunch of times. It is a very real possibility for Volkanovski. He's never had a great chin at any point of his career, but especially at this point, as he's getting older, his chin is only getting worse. But we'll see. Jean Silva versus Murphy, get the title shot for me. Yeah, listen, I'm a big Jean Silva fan. I know it's not too popular. A lot of people hate Silva. I'm a big Jean Silva fan, but even I say it would be ridiculous for Silva to get a title shot in his next fight. I do not want to see that happen. I personally would like to see Jean Silva versus Yair Rodriguez, just because Yair hasn't fought in forever, and also I think it's a great fight stylistically for Silva. If you want to do Lerone versus Jean Silva, you could do that fight as well. I don't necessarily mind it, but I prefer the Yair fight. I think it's more fun. I think it's a better stylistic fight for Silva, and then after that, you can get a title shot. But a title shot right away is crazy. But listen, the UFC has done crazier for sure. There's way too many women's MMA fights on the last night's card. What are your thoughts on heavyweight and women's division? What are your thoughts on a heavyweight women's division? I don't know how many women would actually fit that criteria. I don't know. Try something else out. The women's weight classes are so poor. Essentially, all of them kind of suck, and they're all really boring. So why not try to mix it up a little bit? I don't know. Why not? Jean Silva title shot is mad business. Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree. I think it would be insane to give Jean Silva a title shot right away. But as I said, listen, they gave Diego Lopez a title shot off of a Jean Silva win. And the fight before that, Diego Lopez lost to Volkanovski, and then he fought Volkanovski again. So listen, they've done crazier things in the past, but I do agree with you. Jean should not get the next shot. G8 versus Prates is at 4 a.m. for me. I'm deciding whether I should get up early or not. Yeah, it's super, super early for anybody on the East Coast. I think it's the same for me. 4 a.m. as well. But that's just for the main card start time. So actually, no, I think for me, I think it's 7 a.m. for the main card start time. So it'll be a little bit later, obviously. But yeah, it's super early. It's not very common. Usually whenever they go over to Perth or Australia in general, they always kind of accommodate the United States, which is really unfortunate for anybody in Australia. They always fight at weird times, but they always accommodate the United States. But this time they didn't for one reason or the other. So we got to get up early if you want to watch it. And, the card itself is honestly like not that great, if we're being honest. I mean, I think the main event's really good. The co-main event's pretty good. The third fight in the card's pretty good. Urseg versus Tim Elliott. Gaziv is on the card, so what more do you want? Tai Tuivasa is on the card, so what more do you want? But outside of the main card, the prelims kind of suck. So I don't really mind missing a lot of the prelim fights. But I definitely would like to watch the top 3 fights. So I'll try to get up early for that. Where are we at here? Yair with low-key, Lerone Murphy. Yair is such a high-level striker and the power or grappling to defeat him. Lerone doesn't have either. Lerone is really good. I think Lerone is definitely better than Yair Rodriguez, but styles do make fights, and I don't totally disagree with you, actually. And also Lerone doesn't really like to pressure in a lot of his fights. He always fights at range, which is exactly the range that Yair loves to fight at, where he can just utilize his kicks effectively, and obviously is a very unique striking game, to say the least. So I'd actually agree with you. I don't think it's the worst fight in the world for Yair. Fights like Yair would leave fans with a sour taste in their mouth because inconsistency. Murphy's getting a legit shot. I mean, yeah, I don't totally disagree with that either, to be completely honest. But listen, he's a top 4 guy. I don't think people would really have much of an issue with Silva getting a title shot off of beating Arnold Allen and Yair Rodriguez in his last 2 fights. I don't think many fans would have an issue with that, but I'm sure some would. If Loyev wins over Murphy will not age well. Yeah, sure. I guess that's fair, but he's beaten high-level guys in the past as well, It's not like Laurent's his only big win. Also, Juicy, my underdog, Hogan, Costa picks hit. IDK people are swearing up and down that Osman was going to run through him. Weird Russian glaze. Yeah, me too. I was on both those guys as well, so that was good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, the thing about Mirzakhanov has always been the thing with him. You know, he's really good early. He's very athletic. He's very powerful. But as the fight does progress, he just gets progressively worse. And obviously, on top of that, Paulo Costa put on the best performance of his career. He does great against southpaws. I don't know why the UFC keeps giving him southpaws, but the more that they do, the more success Paulo is going to have. That body kick is like a baseball bat, really, really effective. His high kicks are really fast as well. And he was able to put on a great performance, eventually finding that finish in the third round. So, yeah, that's fair. And Hokit, I was on him as well, and yeah, that was just an all-time great performance. Honestly, super fun. Gabriel, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Who would win? Sean Strickland with assault? I'd probably go with Khamzat with an RPG if I had to say, but you never know. People forget, man. Sean Strickland can shoot. The most fun I was saying was no name guys. That's how I come across. Mason Jones, Sola, Chris Duncan, Rebeska. Yeah, it is kind of funny though that a lot of these guys that are getting paid 12 and 12 put on like all-time great performances and really put their lives on the line. But it is true. A lot of these like lesser known name fighters on the prelims put on all-time great performances. It is kind of funny how it plays out. Mofsar is a featherweight Khabib. He beats Volk. I think Evloev is good. I do not think he's the featherweight Khabib, though. I will say that. Skill gap between middleweight and lightweight is huge. Costa barely the top 10, and the shrine really gets hype. Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with you as well on that. Listen, light heavyweights had a really bad spot. A lot of these guys are honestly just not very good. And Paulo Costa is going to have a lot of success. And even when you look at the guys in the top 5 of the weight class, let's say he doesn't get the fight against Khamzat Chimaev in his next one, there's a lot of guys that are probably good fights for Paulo, like Khalil Roundtree. I've always thought that Khalil was pretty good, but he's a southpaw. Paulo Costa does great against those sort of guys. Magomed Ankalaev, obviously a tougher fight, but he's a southpaw. Paulo does great against those guys. Jamal Hill, he's a southpaw. Paulo does great against those guys. Mirzakhanov obviously was a southpaw. There's a lot of southpaws at the light heavyweight division, so I do think Paulo Costa could have a lot of success in his next fight, whoever that may be up against. I guess outside of Khamzat. Man, Blazers Hoka is the best fight I've ever seen. Yeah, it was really good. A lot of people are saying that. For me, the best fight that I've ever seen is still Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. That fight was just generational, in my opinion. But Blades versus Hoka was incredibly fun as well. It's definitely one of the favorite fights that I've ever seen. Super fun. I'm shocked you say you don't watch the prelims, the no-name guys. No. I watched all the cards. I watched from the first fight of the night to the last fight of the night. I did not watch this most recent card just because the NBA playoffs was going on, and also my Knicks were in the playoffs. Obviously, I was going to watch that over this kind of shitty card, UFC Winnipeg. But in general, I do watch all the Apex cards, all the shitty cards, all the prelims. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But I do regret watching these cards a lot of the times because a lot of these cards this year have been pretty bad, if we're going to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think Volk beats Evloev. I do agree with you on that. Easier fight than Lopez. I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that. I mean, I do think there's a much difficult or, a different test, I guess. With Lopez, he can just one-shot Volk whenever the fight is at, of course. But in terms of the skill level, he's just not even close to the skill of Volkanovski. I do think Volk is a more skilled fighter than even Evloev is. I think stylistically it's a good fight for him, but I don't know. It's just a different sort of challenge between both of those guys. Kid Low, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the new gatekeeper down here. Mike Malott. Can't keep anyone outside the top 10. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he's that good, to be honest, to be a gatekeeper. Listen, this is my thoughts on his performance. I thought he looked good. He looked better than I thought he was, I guess. But with that being said, he went up against a Gilbert Burns who's more or less washed. And on top of that, he kind of showed a lot of the things that I've been talking about in the past, where he's incredibly low volume. So a lot of times he's going to have these staring sort of contests where if he lands his big shots, he'll find the finish. But if he doesn't, there turn out to be really boring performances. But once you go up against higher level competition, especially at the welterweight division, there's going to be a lot of guys that bring the fight to you. And I don't know how well Mike Malott would really perform in those sort of fights. So we'll see. Listen, he looked better than I thought he did, but I don't think we learned that much from Mike Malott in his performance against Gilbert Burns. And I think we've seen countless performances in the past from Mike Malott that have not looked very good. So I don't think he's very good, to say the least. Could he be a gatekeeper? Maybe. I'm not even sure if he's good enough to be on that level, though, if I'm going to be completely honest. But we'll see. The only share basically the UFC is 100K, bonus 25K. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been something that we've been talking a lot on these live streams. I put together countless videos on that as well. But yeah, listen, the fighters don't get paid enough. It is unfair. The UFC is making legitimately billions of dollars every single year, and the fighters don't really see enough of that money. Everyone gets a bonus. How far do you think RDR can go at light heavyweight? I don't think it's the worst move for him. I know a lot of people would say the reason why he had success at middleweight was because he's bigger than everybody else, which in part is true. But with that being said, at the light heavyweight division, these guys are just not very good, for one. And for two, a lot of these guys are strikers, like Jamal Hill, Roundtree, even Jan Blachowicz to an extent. He's not great defensively, stopping takedowns. Yuri Prohaska, Magomed Ankalaev's not a great grappler either. Carlos Ulberg is a striker. Paulo Costa, Mirzakhanov, Dominic Reyes, Guskov, Ozdemir. There's essentially no great wrestlers at the weight class. So I think he could have a lot of success. Will he become a champion? I don't know, but I do think he can be a top 5 guy, honestly, or a top 6 guy at the light heavyweight division. Would not be surprised whatsoever. Maybe could he get better than that? Maybe. But his striking is just very not great, I'll say. That's kind of what's going to really hold him back. Mike would knock out Islam in the first round. Absolutely agree, Johnny. Good rage bait. RDR ran down his last fight. Aggressive. Yeah, true. That's true. All these fake card fans act like they actually excited for Ronda Virginia. 100% watching the Wisconsin card over that slop. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not too excited about that main event. I'll probably end up watching the Netflix card. I will also probably end up watching the main event of Allen versus Costa, because it's actually a pretty good fight. But in terms of the main event of the Netflix card, Ronda, I don't really care. It's 2 women's MMA fighters. I don't really care about women's MMA. I'm not going to pretend like I do. And for 2, they're 2 washed women's MMA fighters, so I don't really care about that at all either. But I'm interested to see how the promotion, or not the promotion, how the what's the word I'm looking for? The broadcast looks for the Netflix card. I'm kind of interested to see other things outside of the main event. There's some other fights in the card I guess are cool, like Morales versus Mukayev. I think that's an interesting fight. But more or less, yeah. I mean, the main event of the Apex card is better than any fight on the Netflix card. Where are we at here? Who would you pick between BSD versus Oliveira? I think Oliveira would probably win. I'm very high on BSD, but I think Oliveira is a really bad matchup for BSD personally. You see my take on fighter pay? That they're getting paid too low? I did not see it. I'm assuming that's what you said though. Costa showed middleweights. You can do well on heavyweight. Yeah. And there's a lot of middleweights that are moving up to light heavyweight now. So we'll see how RDR and Robert Whitaker also do at the weight class. But yeah, we'll see. I want to see Ronda versus Kayla in a street fight. Sure. I thought Valentina was your favorite fighter of all time. She is, absolutely. Valentina and Mike Malott and Bo Nickal are my top 3 favorite fighters of all time. What if Dariush fraud check Sal killed? I would be shocked. I really would. But listen, Dariush is good. I mean, I said this for so long, and it's still true even at this point. I still think he is good. His grappling is very, very high level, especially his jiu-jitsu. His striking is just okay, but it's really set up by his grappling. So there are things that he could do against some of these guys, but he just has literally no chin. He could be winning the fight, the majority of it, take one shot and get knocked out. His chin's that bad. He can get knocked out with a jab, like KO'd with a jab from Sal killed. His chin is that bad, but we'll see. I'd be very shocked, but we'll see. Man, stop talking about Bo Nickal. You're getting me. Very good. Very good. The head kick landed on the boogeyman Vieira. True. Vieira, the best to ever do it, got head kick KO'd by Bo Nickal. Gotta mean that Bo Nickal is elite. But yeah, I think there was some bit of news that has come out ever since we spoke last, but I forgot what it was. Let me see if I can find it. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. But I thought there was some bit of big news that came out recently in terms of a fight getting booked. Oh, that's what it was. Jan Blachowicz is out of his fight against Bogdan Guskov with a torn meniscus. I know Jan Blachowicz said he wants to return still to the UFC. He doesn't want to retire, but he's 42 years old or 43 years old at this point, and now he has a torn meniscus that's probably going to hold him out for at least a year. I don't know, man. I don't know how much longer Jan Blachowicz can actually go. I don't even know if he can fight one more time in the UFC, but if he does, all the power to him. Wonder when they're announcing 329, who's Conor going to fight? It's been a winnable fight years. Yeah, I agree. I think it would probably be in the best interest of the UFC to give Conor a winnable fight, or maybe a young guy that they want to build off of Conor's name, maybe. But I think give him a winnable fight is the best thing the UFC can do. Who is going to be? Honestly, I have no idea. I know Dana White just said yesterday that he was happy about the Conor fight potentially happening. Or not happy about it, but he said that it was going in the right direction or whatever he said. So it does kind of feel as if Conor is going to be fighting on that card. The question is who is he going to be fighting up against? And yeah, I don't know. I guess we shall see. With our going to go, Castaneda War was a decent fight. On the card, I was not entertained by Phillips for Georgian at all, honestly. Yeah, I didn't watch the card, so I can't even say. Well, I did watch a Jourdain fight, and I did watch the main events. I didn't think the Jourdain fight was that fun either, to be honest. He was just spamming flying knees, more or less. And what's his face was just Kyler Phillips was just praying to find takedowns, shooting for takedowns for dear life. So that wasn't that fun. But I didn't see the rest of the card, so I couldn't say. Yeah, Kyler Phillips staying up that fight. Yeah, he was just holding on for dear life, I thought, and he looked really gassed. I mean, listen, so did Jourdain, but Kyler Phillips has been a known gasser. Another Apex card. Let's go. Aljo versus Lowell. I can't. Listen, I don't know. I've definitely defended the UFC more than others in the past, but these first, let's say 4 months of the year has been absolutely horrendous, bro. It's insane. I mean, even the cards that are supposed to be good, like JDM versus Carlos Prates, the Perth card, it's not honestly that good. The main card's okay at best. The prelims are absolutely dog shit. It's just very unfortunate. And then obviously this weekend's card or whatever, next weekend's card is an Apex card that's not really very good. The main event's good though. And then 328's good. And then the card after that, Melky Costa versus Arnold Allen. Main event's good. The rest of the card is absolutely terrible. Then the Song Yadong versus Figueiredo card is okay at best. Honestly, not very good. Then the card after that is another Apex card. Kind of sucks. Then you have the White House card, which honestly is pretty good, I would say. Then after that, you have another Apex card. So I don't know. It's just not been a great start to the year for us UFC fans. I do think it's going to get better as we get to those latter half of the year, last 3 months of the year. But at this point, it just has not been good, man. Another terrible Canadian card. Yeah, a lot of these Canadian cards are literally the worst cards ever. It's another example of it. I've said before the card even happened that the main event, Mike Malott versus Gilbert Burns, is probably the worst main event I've ever seen ever. Maybe it was recency biased. And the fight itself turned out to be kind of fun, I guess, somewhat. But I think in general, just having those caliber of fighters in your main event is crazy, even if it's for a fight night card. After this week, back-to-back great cards. Fight night in Perth, 328. 328 is good, man. 328 is good, man, but I don't think Perth is that good. It's okay. The main event's really, really good, really, really good. And then there's a couple of other good fights in the card, but I wouldn't say it's really good. It's fine. I think it's fine. Maybe it'll be better than I think, but it's fine. But 328 is actually really good. 327 saved the. Yeah, I think you're right. 327 did kind of save the card or save the year, I guess. The card was pretty good, I thought. Melky Costa is the next big thing. I think he's very good. I do think there is a ceiling to Melky Costa. I think his ceiling is probably a top 8 guy, or top 6 guy, maybe, let's say. I do personally think he loses this fight against Arnold Allen. I've said this for a while. I think Arnold Allen is incredibly underrated. He's really, really good. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close fight, but I do think Arnold wins this fight against Melky. But with that being said, it's not as if Melky can't beat anybody ahead of him in the rankings. I think he could, but I think he has a ceiling to him. Probably like top 8, top 10. But we'll see where he gets. Poor Australian card. Very poor. Yeah, it's not great. I mean, there's good fights in the card, but it's not great. Vallejos versus Emmett and Pfeiffer versus Adesanya. Good cards that exceeded expectations, at least. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. But at least on paper, though, you got to see like cards that really get you excited. I can't tell you the last time that I was super, super excited for a card coming up. Maybe it's 327. I mean, I was pretty excited for it, I guess, based upon how bad the rest of the year has been. But I can't tell you the last time I was as excited as like a UFC 300 level card. For the UFC, not even just this year, but even last year as well. It's kind of unfortunate the way it's been playing out. Yo, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Thanks so much for joining the stream. I appreciate it. Just how good to see Garcia. I got him beating Lopez. I don't disagree with you, actually. I think that fight is really good. I don't know who I favor at this point, to be honest, but I think it's a lot closer than people expect. I know the odds have it Lopez is a pretty big favorite, actually, which I don't agree with. I think this is like pretty close to a 50-50 fight between both of these guys. Steve Garcia is legitimately really good, really physical as well. So we shall see. Yo, what's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. It's been a little bit. Is Strickland out? Hello? What's going on? No, is he out? I don't think so. I haven't seen anything. I don't think so, though. Another guy said that Strickland pull out. I don't know. Let me check on Twitter. Did he actually pull out? I don't think so. I didn't see anything about it. I don't think so. It's possible, but I haven't seen anything on Twitter. Now Lopez beats Garcia. We shall see. Mason Jones versus Soda London, still one of the best fights of the year. More than Hokit and Blades. It was a really, really fun fight, but I thought the rest of that card was dog shit, like really bad. But that fight was really good. I agree with that. Well, 300 was a generation event, though. Of course, it can't be that good. No, listen, I agree with you. It can't be that good, but at least like a super exciting card. All right, let's just go with this year. Super exciting card. 324, was that a super exciting card? It was really good, I would say, but I don't think it was like, oh my God, this is insane. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett main event. It doesn't, blow my balls off. So it was good, but it wasn't like insane. 325, I was honestly not excited for at all. I thought it was a bad card on paper. 326, not really that excited for that either. It was a really bad card on paper. Turned out to be terrible in actuality. 327, I was excited for, and it turned out to be a really good card. 328, I'm pretty excited for. We'll see how good of a card that plays out to be. But I guess my point is, you're not seeing Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. You're not seeing these like huge fights in the UFC. A lot of them are like pretty good fights on the rest of the card, and the main event is like Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, which is like, it's not really what you want to see as the main event of a pay-per-view card. Yo, what's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. Did Strickland pull out? Yes or no? As I said, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's possible, I guess. I hope not. Lopez will want to brawl and not grapple. Yeah, I think his best path to victory would definitely be to grapple. But yeah, if he does want to brawl, it's probably not the best idea in the world. Could he win that sort of a fight? Of course, but it's probably not the best idea in the world. People forget, man. It's how the park home runs. You're right. They do forget. Your title is Khamzat versus Bo. What the hell do you expect to ask? No. Well, I mean, I didn't think anybody would think Bo Nickal would be a replacement for Sean Strickland. I mean, Bo Nickal's not even ranked. But no, but Bo Nickal versus Khamzat Chimaev is rumored to be an RAF, not in the UFC. So that's what it was. Lopez is a featherweight title. You're in a title. Like Jean and Garcia might do it, not end well. It's fair. We'll see. I do agree with you, though, actually. I don't know if I would fully say he's Yuri, but they're similar in the sense that they both take a lot of damage. So, yeah, I guess they're similar in that sense. But I do think Yuri's a better fighter than Diego Lopez. 326 was so bad. 325 was kind of fun. 324 was good on paper, but okay in reality. 327 was good all around. Yeah, I think that's fair. Where are people getting the trick and pulled out? Apparently that my title is Khamzat versus Bo Nickal. I don't know. I mean, how could you possibly think that Bo Nickal is going to be replacing Sean Strickland? If Sean Strickland was out, It wouldn't be Bo Nickal replacing him. Buckley versus Brady is probably a pound for pound the best matchup of the year. What? Am I missing something? Brady versus Buckley is a pound for pound best matchup of the year or best matchmaking of the year. I don't know about that, man. I mean, it's a fine fight, but I don't think it's like holy shit. This is incredible matchmaking. I think fights like Paulo Costa versus Azamat Murzakanov is better. Hokit versus Curtis Blades is better. And obviously, we have hindsight to to tell us the fights were good. But even Yusuf Zalal versus Aljamain Sterling, I think, is better matchmaking. I don't know. I've never been too high on Joaquin Buckley, to be honest. But we'll see. I mean, it should be a good fight, I guess. Sean Brady, I think, wins it. Why is she using this? What the fuck? Where Khamzat is training. Sean Strickland is going to be near Khamzat Chimaev. All right. I'm really excited for those face-offs, if we even get them, between Sean Strickland and Khamzat. Probably won't, but I'm really excited to see those. Is Shafkat dead? I don't know, more or less, honestly. It's really unfortunate. Shafkat is going to be one of those guys that are one of the biggest what ifs in UFC history. He's really good, but he had an ACL injury or whatever he had, finally made his way all the way back, was rumored to fight a couple of different guys, was close to making his UFC return, and then he tears his ACL again or tears something in his knee, whatever it was. He had some sort of significant injury once again. Now he's going to be out for an additional year. So he's not going to be back anytime soon. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he just decides to retire. I mean, he's going through so much at this point. He gets injured so frequently. Every time he fights, he gets injured. Every time he's in training camp, he gets injured. After the fights happen, he gets injured. He's just super fragile, unfortunately. And I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him again, but I hope we do. He's a super fun fighter. He's a really high-level fighter, but you just never know what version of him you're going to see whenever he does return, if he does. Nothing online about Strickland pulling out. Yeah, no, I don't think he pulled out. Strickland being around Khamzat is so funny. Khamzat is yeah. Listen, the press conferences, the build-up in general is going to be so fucking fun. For that card, I'm really, really excited for that. The card in general is really good as well, but the lead up is going to be really fun. Hokit versus Blades, that wasn't even a ranked dude. This match I'm gonna do it in the Vision, Dangerous Era. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. He wasn't ranked, but I think it turned out to be good matchmaking because Hokit proved that he was on that level. I think that's really what I'm trying to say. And also at the heavyweight division, they were so desperate for a guy to come out of that weight class, being a functional heavyweight, that's a big reason for why they went with it. Hokit versus Curtis Blades, I didn't mind the matchmaking at all. And I think it turned out to be even better matchmaking than they even thought, as the fight turned out to be incredible. But I thought it was fine. Buckley's a better version of Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal's ceiling. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know. I think they kind of fight completely differently, actually. I think Jeff Neal is a significantly more technical fighter. Buckley is very wild. Do they both have power? Yeah. But they fight differently, though. Is the rising middleweight ready to come into UFC? Absolutely. Brady by sub, I would agree. I think I probably would agree with that. The question is, can he find takedowns against Buckley? Buckley did a really bad job at stuffing takedowns against Kamaru Usman. I do think Brady's going to be able to find takedowns against Buckley. And on the ground, I just think it's another level. Kamaru Usman was able to have a lot of control time on top of Buckley, but not really do much with it just because his game is pretty limited. He's never had great submissions. He's never had a great ground and pound game in general. That's kind of what we saw. But in this fight against Brady, if Brady finds the takedowns, the fight's probably going to be finished, if we're being honest. He honestly is elite on top. His initial wrestling shots are not as good as Kamaru Usman, but on top, he's great. He's very dangerous. Buckley versus Brady has a lot to lose. Inspiration. I might have a lot gone after this fight. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like a completely insignificant fight, but to say that's like the best fight of the year or the best matchmaking fight of the year, I don't know. I think that's kind of crazy to say. But it's two high level guys, I guess, and we'll see how it plays out. But it's not a fight that I'm personally like, holy shit, I can't wait for Joaquin Buckley versus Sean Brady. That's just me personally. Maybe you guys disagree. But that's where I'm at this point. Usman got better takedowns than Brady, but Brady's are still solid enough. Yeah, I agree. I still think he should be able to find takedowns in this fight versus Buckley. I mean, Buckley had a lot of trouble stuffing takedowns. It's not like he even really put up much resistance or really any resistance at all in that fight. In the fifth round, a little bit, but in rounds 1 through 4, not really much resistance, to be honest. So I do think Brady will be able to find a takedown. I guess the question would be, could Buckley keep enough space early on the feet and maybe land a couple of big shots and find the finish from there? If that does not happen, though, I think Brady probably wins the fight. Yeah, I'm actually pretty hype for Brady versus Buckley. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's a fine fight. I partially, like, just to me personally, I'm not like, holy shit, I can't wait for this fight. But it's definitely a good addition to a UFC 328 card that's pretty good, because now all of a sudden you look at the card, main event, Khamzat versus Sean Strickland, which should be cinema one way or the other. Van versus Tatsuda Taira should be fun one way or the other. Volkov versus Waldo. There's a chance that could be boring, but should be fun, I would say, one way or the other. Brady versus Buckley, fine fight. And then King Green versus Jeremy Stevens. I don't know why that's on the main card. I don't know, but it could be fun, I guess. I know Jan versus Guskov is off, so maybe we'll see who Guskov ends up fighting, and maybe they'll throw him on the main card. We'll see. But it's a good addition to the pay-per-view card. I'll put it that way. Yeah, boys. Is it true that they won't make a press conference for Strickland versus Khamzat? I didn't hear anything about that. I highly doubt it. I think the UFC is going to make a lot of money off those press conferences, to be honest. I think they would really want to put those together. But listen, if something happens in the back, I guess, then maybe they'll cancel it. But I don't think that's in the plans at this point for them to cancel those press conferences. They're going to make a lot of money, and that's really going to help build up the fight pretty significantly. They need those press conferences, I think. Daily streams, bro. I'm not going to be daily streaming at this point. Maybe I'll end up changing my mind down the line or something like that. But I kind of do like the new way of doing things. It's just not very repetitive at this point, streaming twice a week or really 3 times a week with the members only live streams on Fridays. So I'm going to keep it the way it is at this point. But if I ever change my mind, or if you guys really want me to switch it up, I'll definitely update you guys on that down the line. Yo, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. I think Strickland can control him for first couple of rounds. Or Sean, what am I talking about? I think Sean can control him for rounds, but they're start getting up and fan takedowns. I guess that's fair, but the only thing, if Brady's able to get top time against Joaquin Buckley, and if he's able to do a good job at controlling Buckley on the ground in those first couple rounds, it's going to be very difficult for Buckley to survive. I mean, Brady is honestly very, very good on top. His submission game is great, as we've seen in multiple of his different performances. Is it possible that he can survive on the ground, Buckley? Sure, but I don't think it's super, super likely, to be honest. Hello, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. But we'll see. Listen, it's an interesting fight. We'll see how it plays out. But at this point, my prediction would be Brady via submission. If Buckley can land a big shot early, then okay, obviously he'll win the fight. Brady is not a great striker, and also he definitely does not have a great chin. But if he can find takedowns, I think it'll be really difficult for Buckley to have any sort of level of success. But we shall see. Let's see what's going on in the NBA. I know the Suns are playing. I don't really care that much about that game, but let's see. The Suns are getting fucked by the Thunder. Not surprising. Where are we at here, boys? Conor versus Islam is a massive fight. It's just not about the rankings, it's about the story. The Khabib I mean, listen, it'll sell really well. There's no question about it. It's just not going to happen, if we're being honest. The only possible way that fight could happen is if Conor returns against, I don't know, Charles Oliveira or something like that and looks really good, which I don't think is going to happen. But if something like that happened, then okay, maybe you could put the Conor fight against Islam together, but it's not going to happen, man. Strickland got robbed in Canada. If I lose, what was his name? Not White House balance scales. That's true. But I don't think it's really going to come down to that. I don't think it's going to be really a close decision. Could the fight go to the scorecards? Maybe. But if it does go to the scorecards, I think it's going to be a pretty obvious victory for Strickland, if I had to guess. But we'll see. I don't know how much that's really going to come into play. Zalal versus Aljo. Who you got, brother? I got Zalal at this point. I mean, I do like Aljo. I think he's pretty underrated. His wrestling's really good. His jiu-jitsu is really good, but so is Zalal's, honestly, especially his jiu-jitsu. And also on the feet, he's just a better striker compared to Aljo. So it's an interesting fight. I actually think it's a really high-level fight between two really high-level guys. But I slightly lean with Yusuf Zalal at this point. The youth, the athleticism, and his ability to stuff takedowns, I think is going to come into huge effect in this fight. And I think he lands big shots on the feet and maybe finds a finish. But nonetheless, I think he wins the fight. Conor's never fighting again. Dana said that he is going to be fighting, or he says, there's good momentum in that, for to have a Conor fight happen again for International Fight Week. I don't know. Really, at this point, for me with Conor McGregor, I've been burned too many times. I really think I need to see Conor walk out for his fight. But up until that point, I won't really believe it that Conor's going to return. There's been so many times in the past where Conor himself said he's going to return, where he actually had that fight booked against what's his face, against Michael Chandler, and then he ended up pulling out. There's just been so many of those sort of performances that, or not performances, but those sort of occasions, I guess, that I just can never really trust Conor McGregor to actually fight again until I actually see him walking out for the fight. But we'll see. If he does return, though, I don't know who he's going to fight. I'm assuming that he's probably going to be fighting at the welterweight division, but you never know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what ends up happening there. But one thing that I will say is I hope he's not the main event. I have a feeling he's probably not going to be, but I really hope he's not the main event, just because if he is going to fight, it's going to be for International Fight Week. And that's kind of that one opportunity we have to see a really high-level fight card. So I would like to see the main event of that sort of a card be Islam Makhachev versus Michael Morales, or I don't know, some high-level fight like that, as compared to Conor versus whoever. I don't know. UFC got insane talent right now, but it's missing the real chaos, real rivalries, real superstar energy. Absolutely agree with you, brother. Completely agree. I do think the star level, or not star level, the talent level of the UFC at this point is incredibly high at a lot of different weight classes. The flyweight division is the best it's ever been. The bantamweight division is really good. The featherweight division is really, really good. Very underrated as well. Lightweight is not amazing, honestly, but at least the top 5 is pretty good, I would say, but it's okay. Welterweight is incredibly good. Middleweight is fine. Light heavyweights, meh. Heavyweight sucks. But there's a lot of weight classes, I guess is my point, that are honestly like really good. And in those weight classes, they're also very deep. Flyweight, they're probably like 20 deep of really high-level fighters. Bantamweight, really, really deep as well. Featherweight, as I said, a lot of these young guys are making their come up and they look really good. So I do think, in terms of talent, UFC probably has the most amount of talent they've ever had. But yeah, they do have, a lack of real stars, of real rivalries. That's also a big reason for why I think the UFC should put together that fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Paulo Costa. That's a rivalry fight right there. I know Khamzat's probably going to be a favorite, as he should be. But with that being said, why not? It kind of makes sense in a weird way, just because everybody else in the weight class is coming off a knockout loss in the top 5. Ankalaev, Yuri, Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill, Murzakanov, all coming off knockout losses in their last fight. Why not? Khamzat versus Paul is a huge fight. But yeah, it is something that has been missing in the UFC. And in terms of like actual stars, does the UFC have stars? Yeah, they do. Islam, Khamzat, Ilya, Alex. Am I missing someone? Probably not. Those are probably your biggest stars in the UFC. But between all of those guys, none of them really fight too frequently. Khamzat, Islam, and Ilya fight once a year max, maybe twice a year in the case of Islam Makhachev, but they just don't fight that much. So it's hard to really turn these guys into humongous stars, which is unfortunate, but it's kind of the reality of this situation. So I don't know. Could they make improvements to that? I guess, but it's not going to be that easy. But there definitely are certain matchmaking that they can put together, or certain fights that they can put together that will help that, I guess. Facts. The only fight that makes sense in 2026, to be honest, is Sean versus Khamzat. I do like that fight just because it's, the grudge match. Obviously, the build-up's going to be great. It's obviously going to generate a lot of eyeballs on that sort of a fight. And if Khamzat wins, obviously it's going to grow the stardom of him. If Strickland wins, it's really going to grow the stardom of Sean Strickland. So it is kind of one of those examples of a grudge match for sure. And I'm excited for it because of that. But outside of Khamzat versus Strickland, I don't know. When was the last time we saw a real grudge match? Um, Maybe it was Makayev versus Manel Kopp, which turned out to be an absolute dud. But I can't remember another grudge match that has happened as of late. And there's a lot of other examples of grudge matches that you could put together. The UFC just refuses to do it. You could do Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez, which how that fight hasn't happened, I honestly have no idea. Literally makes no sense. You could put together a fight between Kamaru Usman and Bilal Muhammad, but obviously they're not going to do that either. There's a lot of examples of grudge matches you could put together, but the UFC just refuses to do it. I don't know why. It would make them a lot more money, but they just don't want to do it. People forget, man. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you are right. Absolutely. A lot of these champions are just very inactive. A lot of these contenders are just very inactive, and it is making the sport worse overall. I talk about this a lot, honestly, in live streams and videos. It definitely takes away from the sport. It is really unfortunate, but it's very common as of late. And I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I think the reason for why that is probably because a lot of these guys have a lot of money. Like, for example, those three guys I mentioned before, Ilya, Islam, Khamzat, they all have an incredible amount of money in the bank, so they don't necessarily need to fight. And because of that, I think that's the reason for why they only fight once a year or maybe sometimes twice a year. And it's a bit of a problem. I mean, I guess good for them that they have a lot of money, but in terms of from the fans' perspective, obviously it's not great, I guess. Who you got between Strickland and Khamzat? I think you have to favor Khamzat. As we were talking about before in the stream, I think it's probably 70% Khamzat, 30% Strickland. So I favor Khamzat. I think he probably finds a finish in the first couple rounds. But with that being said, I do see a path to victory for Strickland. I do think if he can survive early and force Khamzat to work in those later rounds, 3, 4, 5, he can really start to pull away. But you have to favor Khamzat. That's where I'm at this point. What about Prates versus JDM? I think Prates got this. I agree. I think it's a close fight, and whoever's able to establish their game plan is going to win, which I guess is obvious, to be honest, but especially in this sort of a fight. If JDM's able to pressure Prates and get on that inside, force Prates alongside the cage, he'll be able to go to work, put punches together in combination, rip some nice shots to the body, and have a lot of success. But if Prates can keep the fight at range, he'll have a lot of success with his front kicks to the body, calf kicks, long jabs, long left straights, and he'll probably find a finish. If I had to say at this point, though, I would definitely lean towards Prates winning this fight. I think the power is going to be significant, a huge factor in this fight against JDM. I think eventually he probably cracks JDM, who's very hittable, if we're being honest. And you can't really take that level of power from anybody. I know JDM has shown a good chin for sure. But at the same time, you can't take those shots from a guy like Carlos Prates. So I lean with Prates, but it's a close fight, closer than people think. Yo, what's going on, Dark? What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream, and thanks so much for becoming a channel member. 30% Sean is wild, more like 1%. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that. I think 30% is fair. I do see a very real path to victory for him, but I do favor Khamzat, as I said. Stu, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Bro's checking out both corners of the very good. JDM is a good striker, of course, but look how much he can fire. Yeah. Exactly. I completely agree with you on that. Listen, Bilal's obviously a different striker. He has more success in that close boxing range. So I guess stylistically, it turned out to be not the worst fight in the world for Bilal. Not saying that it was competitive, but not saying it was that close per se. I thought JDM was kind of a step ahead of Bilal the entire time. But with that being said, yeah, JDM got hit quite a bit. And honestly, even outside of the Bilal performance, he gets hit quite a bit in a lot of his performances. And as I said before, if you're going up against a guy like, Carlos Prates, who hits as hard as he does, you don't want to take those clean shots. So because of that, I think I probably would favor Carlos Prates. But it's a close fight. This epidemic in the UFC fighters. Sorry, where are we at? Being too monos as a joke, fire that criminal. Yeah. I guess so. I mean, yeah, you are right. It is unfortunate. These guys got to get paid more. I actually just put out a video together talking about this in depth, but it is unfortunate. I know it's not impossible for a fighter. He can create a monster like Conor did, but who's the closest right now to doing it? Yeah, I mean, listen, no one's going to be the next Conor, but the closest guy is probably Ilia Topuria, I would say. He's obviously not on that level, but he speaks well. He definitely has great one-liners. He's a really good fighter. He's fearless. He doesn't mind going up a third weight class to fight Islam Makhachev. So he's probably the closest to doing it at this point, but, even he obviously is not that close to being a Conor McGregor level star. But theoretically, if he knocks out Justin Gaethje at the White House, which he probably will, and then he moves up to welterweight and knocks out Islam Makhachev, maybe they'll get relatively close. He'll probably be the closest that we've ever seen to Conor. He'll be a huge star at that point if he can do that. But obviously, that's a lot easier said than done. Not the Gaethje part, I think he's going to do that, but the Islam part. It's quite embarrassing how UFC stars are begging for bonuses. Yeah, it is unfortunate. I will say this though. Listen, UFC fighters don't get paid enough. There's no question about it. But I'm kind of less worried about the stars in the UFC. I think the stars in the UFC get paid fine, honestly. Do they get paid more in boxing? Yeah, they do. But I don't think I really have much, I'm not too upset for Islam Makhachev, for example, making like $10 million a fight or $20 million a fight. Like, I don't have much pity for him. Maybe there's a guy in boxing that's making $80 million a fight, sure. But he's still making a ridiculous amount of money. These guys don't really need the bonuses. In terms of like unranked guys that are making 12 and 12, those are really the guys that need the bonuses. Those are really the guys that are getting significantly underpaid. But the stars of the UFC, I don't really care, honestly. I'm going to be honest. But it is what it is. But I would like to see an increase in fighter pay for sure. I know, it's been a big topic in UFC circles for quite a bit. But yeah, listen, I think a very fair thing that the UFC can do is have universal healthcare. I think that's huge. But on top of that, raise it from 12 and 12 to like, I don't know, 40 and 40 as to start out with. I think that's very fair. At that point, if you win your first fight, you make $80,000 that year, which is still not super high after all the expenses that you have to pay, but at least it's somewhat, livable as compared to what these guys are getting paid at this point. 12 and 12 is kind of crazy. But I don't know. It's probably never going to happen, or at least it's not going to happen anytime soon. I think it's time for to be honest, he just needs to oil it up. He does need to oil up, that's for sure. I'm not opposed. I'm definitely not opposed to Dana White retiring. I don't think he's done a great job, but honestly, if we're being honest, if Dana White did retire, I don't think it would really change that much in the UFC. Obviously, there'll be a different talking head that goes on to these interviews and does these post-fight press conferences and whatnot. There'll be a different guy doing all those things. But in terms of how the UFC actually operates, I don't think much would honestly change. I don't think Dana White is really that involved in these discussions. Obviously, he's in the room, but I don't think he's really negotiating with fighters on contracts. I don't think he's really putting these cards together. I don't think he's really reaching out to different countries about where they can put UFC cards together. I just don't think he does all that much when it comes to the UFC. I think he's more focused on Zuffa or Power Slap or other stupid shit like that. But I just don't think much would change. I know Dana White's, the face of the UFC, and he's an easy target for everybody to call out. And listen, he's obviously not done a great job. I'm not going to say he has. And I think the UFC probably would be better off with somebody else. But I don't think much would change, even if he did retire, with that being said. Like upcoming stars aren't getting paid like the established fighters. That's shame. When they're, I mean, like upcoming guys. Yeah, I guess. I think that's fair. Upcoming guys. But in terms of like the champions at every single weight class, I think it's fine, to be honest. These guys are getting paid quite a bit. Are there guys like Joshua Van who may be getting underpaid a little bit? Maybe. But guys like Volkanovski, Petr Yan, Topuria, Islam, Khamzat, Tom Aspinall, like these guys are getting paid fine. I don't really have much pity for these guys, to be honest. But lower level guys, I definitely do. Dana said he doesn't do any of the contract negotiations anymore. Yeah, exactly. So he's not really even involved in a lot of these things that us UFC fans have interest in or have issues with, I guess I should say. So I don't think much would really change, but I guess it'd be cool, I guess. What do you think of MMA YouTube being so negative, especially MMA? Joey? I don't love it. I definitely don't love all the negativity. I mean, listen, I can't say I haven't been negative either. Obviously, I've criticized the UFC quite a bit. There's no question about it. But yeah, there are a lot of MMA YouTubers that say, oh, this is the end of the world. This is terrible, whatever. Everything's terrible. This guy sucks, whatever. And I'm not the biggest fan in the world of that, just in general, outside of MMA YouTube. But it is what it is. One thing that I will say is the UFC has probably been like the worst it's ever been, or one of the worst years it's ever had to start out the year this year. It's been really bad, if we're being honest. A lot of these cards have been really poor, to say the least. There is a lot of issues with the UFC, to say the least. But I don't know. We'll see where we go forward from here. Burner, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. You got to change your channel name. Yeah. So I know it sounds fruity or whatever, but I'll just tell you guys how I got my name. So when I was all the way back in elementary school, one of my boys called me Juice for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he just came up with that nickname, and it kind of just stuck around. Well, actually, initially it was Juicy, but then it changed to Juice. And for this channel, that's why it's called Juicy MMA, because that was my nickname forever. But I know it sounds a bit fruity. But when it's not the same thing, hype and energy like did before, especially after. No, listen, you're absolutely right. Dana does not have the same energy that he did before, and I do think it's actually a negative for the sport because I've talked about this in a video, and also I'll say it again. If you're a casual fan to the UFC and you see a video of Dana White talking about a particular card, let's just say it's Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev, and he literally has no energy when he's promoting these fights, you're probably going to think in the back of your mind, even if you don't know these fighters, you're probably going to think in the back of your mind that this card is not that good because the president, the face of the UFC, is not even that excited about this card, and it's going to take away fans from the sport. So I absolutely agree with that. I think you could use a different guy to actually promote these fights a little bit better, actually show some more excitement. Dana definitely does not have all that much excitement about the UFC anymore. So from that perspective, I do think things can improve. But I guess really what I was trying to say before is in terms of fighter pay, in terms of matchmaking, in terms of all these other things that the Apex, a lot of these things that a lot of us UFC fans have, issues that we have about the UFC, are not really going to change if Dana White decided to retire or he just went over to Zuffa and he left the UFC completely. It just wouldn't really change. We need Stan Edgar to run the UFC. fair. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel, to me personally, there's a lot of things that they could be doing better that they're just not doing. Because as we were kind of touching upon before, the talent level in the UFC is honestly as high as it's ever been. It's super talented. A lot of these weight classes are incredible. We're just not seeing a lot of these guys actually fight. And I'm not just talking about champions. I know champions have been inactive, but a lot of these contenders have been inactive as well. How long was Justin Gaethje inactive for when he was essentially waiting for his title shot? How long was Paddy Pimblett inactive for when he was waiting for his title shot? You know, a lot of these guys are super inactive. I know those are only two examples, but there's a lot of examples of other guys you can give at a lot of other weight classes, high level guys that are just not active. And it's unfortunate. It's definitely taken away from the sport. Partially, maybe it's due to the fighters just not wanting to fight, maybe, but also partially the blame has to go to the UFC. If they pay these guys more, they'll probably be more willing to fight more frequently, I guess. But I don't know. It's unfortunate. It definitely is a bit of an issue. But what are you gonna do? Also, I think I may hop off stream relatively soon, but I did want to make a couple of quick shout outs. If you guys are new to this Juicy MMA channel, I do also have a secondary channel, which is more or less a podcast channel where I just blab on about different MMA topics. Also, I am live streaming on that channel as well. So anybody that is on the Juicecast channel, hello, welcome to the new channel. But anybody that is interested, I will be throwing the link in chat to that channel. Also, the link will be in the description of any one of my videos as well. So if you're interested in getting more Juicy, be sure to check out that channel. But on the main channel, Juicy MMA, it always is going to be my main focus. I'm going to be posting on this channel Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at 2 p.m. Eastern time. But I'm also going to be pretty active on that other channel as well. Weekly uploads, maybe even a little bit more than that as well. So if you're interested, check it out. He was talking crazy things. For example, he said that Power Slap will be bigger than the UFC. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, obviously he's trying to promote the Power Slap thing. I never understood it just because I don't know. I mean, it's just so stupid. I mean, who actually watches Power Slap and it's like, oh, this is really fun to watch. It's just two guys that are just standing in front of each other getting slapped. At least for MMA, I know it's super violent, and maybe some people that are not fans of MMA will be like, that's a stupid sport. It's just violence. But at least you can defend yourself. You can put your hands up. You can utilize head movement to get out of the way of certain shots, land big shots of your own. Power Slap, you have to stand here. You cannot move. It's just such a stupid thing. So I don't know. It was really dumb. He honestly had that hilarious line where he's like, the UFC, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, the NHL, you combine all of those numbers, they're still not as big as Power Slap. It was hilarious. And it feels like it's close to going out of business. I don't know if it is, but it just feels that way. But I don't know. He's just going to say whatever he wants, I guess. Power Slap is not even a sport. Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not a sport. It's very silly. Definitely not a big fan of it, to say the least. But I don't know. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But all right, fellas. If you guys have any additional questions, be sure to let me know in chat. But I think I'm going to hop off stream at this point. I'll be streaming once again on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Just bear with me for these next couple of weeks with playoff basketball going on. I'm obviously going to be streaming in a little bit of a different schedule, but as I said, next stream will be on Tuesday. And also, if you guys are enjoying the streams and want to support your boy, be sure to hit that join button down below. Best bets, members only live streams, members only shout outs, discounted merch, full in-depth breakdowns for certain fights for every single card, alongside with additional perks as well, are all things that you get in the Juice MMA channel memberships. And of course, it all starts at just 99 cents. I'll read these questions quickly and I'll hop off. UFC is hardly a sport either, or MMA. No, MMA is definitely a sport. What? Can avoid certain fighters and what's actually concerning is his energy for like nothing. Yeah, his energy is super, super low for sure. Would you take a dick pic for Barbosa or the live hook for John Jones? I'll go with the dick kick from Edson Barbosa. Probably because double eye poke from Jones, I may never see again, man. I guess I may never have kids again from Barbosa, but I don't know. I seeing is important, man. People forget. All right, boys. Anyways, I'm going to hop off stream at this point. I appreciate everybody for joining. I'll see you boys on Tuesday. I'll see you boys on Monday for the regular video. And until then, peace out, fellas.